I forgot. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to start the meeting. Thanks. May I have a motion that the Board of Education adjourns the executive session? Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the December 19th, 2023 regular session of the Board of Education. This is Joseph Cilio, President of the Board of Education speaking. I have a call to order. Please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance.
Like the flag, public, always hands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do you notice that today's meeting has been served to all members of the Board of Education pursuant to the requirements of law? Tina, will you please take attendance?
Joseph Cilio, President, Board of Education.
Present.
Tom Canoe, Vice President, Board of Education.
Present.
Arthur Chineco, Trustee, Board of Education.
Present.
William O'Donoghue, Trustee, Board of Education.
Present.
Ms. Gaffney, Trustee, Board of Education.
Present.
Dr. Sinha, Superintendent of Schools.
Present.
Janet DiCaprio, Assistant Superintendent for Business and Finance. Present. Nat Nady McLaughlin, Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources and Leadership Development.
Present.
Judy Barbera, Interim Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction.
Present.
Doug Spencer, District Council.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Dr. Sinha to go through student recognition.
All right, thank you, Mr. Cilio. This is a special evening. We have so many of our students out here and really this evening we'll be honoring our student athletes for the fall season. We have had so many wins and just, when I think about our students, what they do on the fields and their commitment to the sports that they are part of, and along with that, the studies that they do. So we are so proud of our students. And we also have this evening to help us recognize our student athletes. We have our Hempstead Town Supervisor, Mr. Don Clavin, also a resident here in the district. And we also have Councilman Thomas Mascarella here as well. And do we have our town clerk, Kate Murray? She could not make it okay. So with that, I wanted to also recognize our coaches. Our coaches play a very important role with our student athletes and our teams. What they instill in our students is, I think, something that they take with them even after they graduate from here. Some of the bonds they form within their teams and the relationships that they have with their coaches. It's actually quite special. And I know that because I seen that with my own son and he played ice hockey, continues to play ice hockey as an adult. And the role of athletics is extremely important, I think, for our students as well. So with that, I would like to turn it over to our Director of Athletics, Mr. Ed Ramirez. And I also want to thank Mr. Ramirez for his leadership. Talk about acknowledging. We acknowledge every single sport, which I love. And this evening, you'll hear a little bit more about that from Mr. Ramirez.
So thank you. I'm going to keep my words short. I know we have some presentations and I'm probably the last person people want to hear at 8 o'clock at night. So I do want to thank our Board of Education, Dr. Sinha, the administration, Mr. Steingrubner, and the high school administration, because without their support, these kinds of seasons, this success doesn't happen. So thank you very much on behalf of the students and the coaches. I want to thank our coaches. The amount of time that they sacrifice with their own families, you may not realize it. It's a lot of time. And they do it, as Mr. Chapudian always jokes, we do it for the kids. and he means it. You know, they want to make Garden City community a better place. They want to build on the experiences and the things that you gain from participating in athletics. So to the coaches, thank you very much. And the last two I want to thank is our athletic office staff, Mrs. McManamy and Mr. Eckert, because they do a lot of work behind the scenes to help in getting the seasons along and leading to the success. So thank you to those two. So the season has been a tremendous season, the fall season, in terms of wins, accomplishments. I just like enjoying watching you guys enjoy the go through the season, competing, and the things that you accomplish. So we did a quick 3-minute video to kind of recap the season. So we'll start with that before we do the presentations. It's Mr. Galano here to help me get that started. Yep, we're ready. Oh, okay. Yeah. first thing we're going to acknowledge, and I have, as we said, our town supervisor, Mr. Clavin here, and Councilman, Mr. Muscarella, are going to come up, present, is our field hockey team, who were two-time Long Island champs, back-to-back Long Island champions, and advanced to the state semifinals. So we're going to bring them up. Okay.
Before we do the presentation, I just want to say, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. As a resident here, I take a lot of pride in all the accomplishments these young men and women do. And a lot has to do with the school board, this administration, the teachers, the athletic staff, and most importantly, the parents. I see it very firsthand, the involvement everybody has in this community. And that's why I think it's very important we take the time to recognize all these young men and women here for all the accomplishments. Now, all of you might know I'm going to be a little selfish on this one, all right? Perhaps I have a connection to the field hockey team, all right? I take it near and dear. And you girls know I'm a very quiet fan. I'm not very loud in this section. Nobody knows who I am there. Like I said, I am very proud, as well as Councilman Muscarella, on your accomplishments. It is quite the feat you've done. You should enjoy your moment in the sun. And particularly for the field hockey, as well for the football, we not only have these signs made tonight, but we have more of a miniature one for each one of you to take home as a presentation. So everyone in this room, you should enjoy your moment. You should enjoy this part of your life. All of you are hitting something that other people strive for, and never take it for granted. So on behalf of myself and Councilman Muscarella, we have this sign here for you to present proudly with this school district, as you should, but we also have a little keepsake over there for each of you to take home tonight. So ladies, I would be honored if you would join me with the school board and your superintendent for a photo I would love to publicize throughout the town of Hempstead.
Let's go a little bit further back, okay? Come a little further back. Can some of you girls take a knee on the side?
On the side. Okay, I'll
Can some of you girls take a knee? Some of you girls take a knee on the other side? Fine. Sit back.
We have and
All right. Coach Lavelle couldn't be here tonight. Her daughter had a concert, but I do want to congratulate her. She was selected as Newsday Coach of the Year for Nassau County, so congratulations to her. This next team that we're acknowledging, our varsity football team, won the Long Island Championship for the third year in a row. They've gone 4 seasons undefeated, tied their own record, 42-0. No pressure. First game of the year next year, Coach. try to break the Long Island record. Also, congratulations to Coach Ettinger and his staff, even though he was selected as the Nassau County Coach of the Year by Newsday. That's obviously exemplifies the work that his staff put in as well. So congratulations to Coach Ettinger and the staff. Our varsity football team.
How are you? I think so. Yes. Yes, it's no way, the voice is no way.
The next athlete we're gonna recognize is individual from cross country. This young man is a sophomore, qualified for the state championships. Ran a great race. We're looking forward to bigger and better events from him in the future when he returns to the States. His coach, Mr. McDonald, I believe is here. Come up, Mr. McDonald, and bring up Ryan McAlay with you. So I got it wrong. We only get him for one more year. It was wishful thinking. Just to give you an idea of what he ran this year, 15:06 for a 5K. The next individual athlete is from varsity girls swimming. She is a freshman. She qualified for the state championships in the 500 freestyle. Maddie Gebhardt and Coach Ann Sullivan, Hall of Famer Coach Ann Sullivan, come up so we can recognize you. And we are looking for great success in future state championships for her. Congratulations. So our next sport is girls varsity tennis. We're going to break the three athletes up a little bit. First, we're going to call up our county champion doubles team who finished third in the state, Kayla Castellano and Angelina Bravo. Coach could not be here, but the young ladies are. These two had one loss on the season, finished third in the state, earning them all state honors. Congratulations. And last but certainly not least, one of the hardest things to do in high school athletics is win a state championship. When you think about the number of high schools, 750 plus high schools across New York State, and individuals, teams have 10 to 20 members on each team. To be the last one standing is a unbelievable accomplishment. This young lady is the first singles tennis state championship for Garden City. Nina Weiss, come up. Congratulations. Nina also just committed to Nebraska Omaha to play tennis, so she's going to continue there. Thank you. Have a good night. And to the athletes, congratulations and thank you for letting us be part of your greatness. Appreciate it.
You can stay for the meeting if you want.
Oh, Miss Lavelle is here. Miss Lavelle.
It's on.
Kind of dead.
I heard it.
All right, congratulations to our students and our coaches once more.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Clavin. All right, our next item that I would like us to go through is we have Jack LaSala and his parents that are here. Come on up. All right. Okay. Jack, have a seat right there with your mom. Yep, this is great. Okay.
Nice to see you.
All right, so, I had shared with the board earlier in the year, or, with our focus on special education, I had the opportunity to meet with Jack and also Mrs. LaSala and learn a great deal from them. We also had invited another one of Jack's friends, Delaney McKenna, but she wasn't able to make it this evening. So I'm so glad you, both of you, are here. And I learned a great deal from you, and I think you have so much to offer and share. So I actually invited them to the board meeting so they can really, Jack was unbelievable, so eloquent in his what he shared. So I'm hoping he'll do the same here. And just your journey with special education, can I share with the board in terms of, all right. So Jack was in special education before he even, formally started in kindergarten, from preschool onward till he graduated from our district. And he actually shared areas we were doing, we do well, and areas we could do even better in. And same thing with Mrs. LaSalla. So I'm hoping today you can share your journey, and I'm sure the board members will have some questions for you as well. All right. So why don't you start off by just telling us a little bit about, your experience. You started with us from preschool.
Yeah, of course.
And by the way, Jack is going to High Point in North Carolina. He's a senior there and doing extremely well. When you hear what he's majoring in and everything.
Should I introduce myself and then we'll
Yes,
get into okay.
please.
All right, so hi, everybody. My name is Jack LaSalla. I am a current senior at High Point University. I'm a triple major, triple minor in finance, marketing, and international business with 3 minors in Spanish, sales, and theater. I run Division I cross-country track and field, and I actually ran cross-country and track. So really happy that I saw one of my former teammates up here getting an award, which is really awesome. 1506. Wow, that's amazing. I am a part of a business fraternity and a social fraternity on campus. I'm a part of Alpha Kappa Psi, the business fraternity. I hold the position of fundraising chairman, which my term just ended. And then I am in a social fraternity in which I hold the position of philanthropy chairman as well. And then I'm a university ambassador, so I give tours on campus. And then just at the end of this current summer, I secured an internship with Bank of New York Mellon and got the job right after as a financial analyst starting next year.
Congratulations.
So where to begin? So my journey. I've been in the ICT model or special education since I've been in preschool. I've been all throughout 2nd through 5th grade. And then in 6th grade, I was in co-taught all throughout high school as well. And then in college, I got used to everything else after that. I guess to start off, when I was in 2nd grade, I was in the ICT model. That's when they put me into the ICT model. And it was, when I was younger, I had really bad ADHD. So I used to want to run out of the classroom. My father could probably talk about it, but I used to, when I was in it was before preschool. What was it?
Mommy and me.
It was the mommy and me classes. I used to want to run out of the classroom. And that was always, for me, they knew I had ADHD, severe, not severe, but.
Well, let me just first, I'm sorry, I'm Julie LaSalla, but first I wanted to tell you that Jack, as a child, we didn't know this. We took him to the pediatrician all the time. He had middle ear loss. So, he would go get his ears checked and he could hear. And then, of course, you always get the bad news when you're at work. And they said, Mrs. LaSalla, Jack can't hear. And it's like you sticking your fingers in your ear and me trying to teach you how to speak Chinese. So they said he needs to get surgery or he could have, permanent damage. So all this time I'm thinking that he's delayed because he's not sipping out of a cup. He's not doing what other kids are doing at 2 and 3, or not saying all these words. He should be saying 50 words. He's saying a few words. And I didn't realize that he couldn't hear me. So he was doing the stuff where, if I said, go put this book on the shelf, he would put it on there, but maybe I was demonstrating it.
I also think I should have been in the year below since I have such a late birthday. So that was probably another big aspect of it.
Yes, but I didn't believe, one of the teachers in Garden City told me that he didn't believe in holding back and he had a lot of energy. So I put him in kindergarten when he was 4 years old, but that wasn't even, and he was fine. And it wasn't the problem. It was the problem that he was delayed because he couldn't hear, but then that rolled into, everything else. So now you can go.
All right. So I'm going to skip around a little bit, but after 5th grade, I went into 6th grade and that was when I was in co-taught. And eventually I was able to, that was the first time that I was actually in with 2 teachers. So I was able to kind of, get help from one outside of the classroom. And that was my co-taught teacher. And then I had every mainstream teacher that was able to help me as well. So having that co-taught teacher outside of the classroom was perfect for me because I was able to have personal relationships with those teachers during the year. And they knew what specifically I needed, because they knew what my issue was in the classroom. So it was easier for them to understand what helped me with work, what strategies to use, etc. And then after that, I think it was in 7th grade or when I started cross country and track and field, when I really started to build myself up and want more. I really wanted to get out of the ICT model. I didn't want to be in co-taught anymore. I wanted to be in mainstream classes. And eventually I went into ninth grade. I actually fought for being in a mainstream math class in eighth grade at my IEP meeting. And they had said, you know, Jack, you have to prove yourself first to see if you can actually go into it, because math was not one of my strongest suits. You know, go figure, I'm going to work at a bank on Wall Street in a year. But it's the craziest thing is I really wanted to, it wasn't crazy, but I really wanted to succeed. So I went to AIS in the morning, which is what helps you get ready for the New York State tests. And when I did that, I made a relationship with my teacher, with my eighth grade teacher, and she helped me understand the math for the mainstream class after AIS was over. And so I kept coming to her in the morning, even though I didn't have to, and I was able to learn it. And then eventually, I went to my IEP meeting, and I fought to be in that mainstream math class, and I got in. And then obviously things didn't go as well for me in that eighth grade class, because I was kind of late to the game and it was almost towards the end of the year and I kind of didn't do so well. But anyway, I went into ninth grade and they put me back into the, what was it? The
I guess like a smaller self-contained math?
math.
Yeah.
And it kind of hurt me a little bit because I was brought down again. But as I got into 10th grade, because I was a year behind. So when everybody took the Regents for Algebra 1, when they were a freshman, I took it in sophomore year. So I was technically a year behind, and kids used to come up to me and they would be like, why are you in this class? Why are you in, you're a sophomore in a freshman class. They used to, get on me a little bit.
Yeah,
and
they would
me
call you
names.
freshman and
They, and I'd take it because it was fine. I mean, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words won't hurt me, So eventually, I went into 10th, 11th, and I went through the same stuff. And then in 12th grade, I said, I want to challenge myself. And I was in my IEP meeting and I said, I want to do pre-calculus. And so I was looking at colleges for like RIT and, for video game design, which was very heavily math oriented colleges that really wanted you to have pre-calculus before you went in. And I would have only had Algebra 2 before I would have graduated. So what I did was I eventually, I said, look, I want to do both Algebra 2 and pre-calculus at the same time. And they go, Jack, look, I mean, that's fine. But they go, you're going to have, I think it was 2 periods off. They go, you have to do, I made a deal with Manny Stefankevich. She said, you have to do resource room on the side just to get some extra help if you need help in math. And I go, deal. I did the old Tony Soprano handshake and that was the end of it. And so I eventually was in that class and I ended up finishing with both A's. It was too bad COVID ruined everything, but I would have done very well on that Regents exam if I would have taken it. But I finished off with 2 A's, both in pre-calculus and in Algebra 2. And I got into high points. That's it. And now hopefully I'll be continuing my education at NYU. I just applied about a week ago. So hopefully I get into that. I'll be going while I go to work as well.
I'm sure the board has some questions.
Sure, I always start, does another trustee want to start first? Are you happy to let me? Jack, maybe a question for me. Thank you. First, thank you for coming in and sharing your story. I know I would think it's encouraging for people to hear your story and hear your struggles and your success. And it seems from where I said your attitude was a big part in your success, which is good. And I'm glad there are people here in the building and people who aren't here who helped you along the way. Maybe the first question for me is, in your journey, I know you mentioned Mandy. Who else have you come across in your time here that you thought was really instrumental in helping you through some of the challenges throughout the course of your career?
I'd say my coach, Brian McDonald. He was here earlier. He was huge in helping me. Because when I was in Algebra 2, he was my math teacher. He was both my coach and my math teacher. So I could go to him anytime I wanted to talk to him about problems or like math problems, not actual problems.
You do that too.
Yeah. Math problems and whatever. I would talk to him on the bus when we were going to meets, just if I needed any extra help. Somebody I didn't mention in the podcast and I wanted to mention now because I hadn't said anything was my Fourth, both Miss Alisi, but she's now under
Ms. Shabelle.
Miss Shabelli. She's in the, I didn't mention them in my podcast, but I should have, or the podcast. And Mr. Dolan, they were huge advocates for me in elementary school, and I think I didn't give them the credit in the podcast, but I wanted to give it here. And I was, who else was?
You talked about the middle school.
Oh, the middle school, yes. Miss Hatzi Christos, Mr. Tumanello, Mr. Baker,
Even
Miss
your-
Reeves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many people that
Miss
gave me support.
Scarola.
Scarola, there were so many people. I mean, yeah, you could probably hop in. I mean,
No, I think you covered all of them. You mentioned a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, even,
So it was so
well,
long ago
and
as well. I mean,
Miss-
it's been so many
Dr.
years. I can't
Dr. Greenwald.
Dr. Green, yes, Dr. Greenwald was fantastic as well. I mean, she's around even now, which
Yeah.
is very good. Yeah, I'd say a lot of teachers and staff and faculty have helped in the process of building me up and helping me grow.
I guess what was the biggest challenge for you kind of working your way from kindergarten through the high school? I'm sure there are multiple ones, but what was the biggest one for you and how do you feel you overcame that?
I think getting past the academics of it, it was the social aspect. And I know I was the person that went through it, but my mom can speak, probably my parents can speak the most on it because they obviously were the ones at home. They went through it as well. And then, yeah, the academics were also, it was a process of learning everything. But once you get on that train of understanding everything, you eventually get to that point where you can, you sit down, say to yourself, okay, this is okay. Let's just go through it. And then you start to like the material. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I didn't really like math back in the day. But I said, I'm going to be doing this. I mean, I wanted to do finance. Both my parents are obviously in finance, so I love that as well. But it was a challenge for me because math was something that was not one of my strong suits. And I wanted to challenge myself to say, you know what, I can do this. And I became a finance major and now look where it led. So I'm really happy about it.
Thank you.
Can I just ask Jack to say what, Jack, you had talked a lot about when you were in middle school, when we actually did a podcast, it's posted on our website. I really encourage folks to listen to it because Jack and Delaney really, they both of them shared when you were in middle school and where you really wanted to try and you were, it's around advocacy, how you advocated for what your needs were, in terms of for your learning at your meetings. You want to talk a little bit about that? Because that I thought for me, that was very important, the way you went about that.
In middle school for advocating for yourself. Yeah, of course. I think when I was younger, it was a little more difficult to get involved because obviously it was, you were kind of young and you didn't really understand. But as I got older, I really wanted to, as I said, in middle school, I wanted to be out of the ICT model. I wanted to be out of COTOT. I didn't want to be in it. I think that the biggest thing was I made sure that I came in prepared and what I wanted out of these IEP meetings, made sure that I understood like what it was that I guess, advocating for myself. Because if you don't advocate for yourself in those meetings, you don't really get anywhere. The parents kind of make the decisions, the teachers make the decisions, but if you yourself stand up there and advocate for yourself, it not only is helping yourself, with self-confidence and knowing what you want, but it also shows everybody else, this kid knows what he wants. This kid knows what he's doing. He wants to go further in his academics. He wants to prove himself. And that was the biggest thing. I wanted to prove myself for everybody.
Jack, clearly your advocacy is infectious, and I hope everyone who's listening to this on the Zoom can hear that you could achieve anything. You just have to speak your voice and your mind. So I really encourage that. What the board encourages that for all students in the district. My follow-up question to President Cilio's question is, you mentioned the teachers that were influential here in Garden City. In college, which professors were influential to your success now as you're coming up to graduating, and why? If you could share that.
So funny enough, my financial accounting professor, who I had a summer class with. I didn't even meet him. I had no idea who he was, but I emailed him and he said as one of his assignments he wanted to get to know people because he hadn't seen them online or he wasn't able to interact with them in person. And so I said to him, hey, I really, I want to talk to you, whatever. And him and I ended up having an hour conversation. I'm not even an accounting major. Him and I had an hour conversation. This guy is from North Carolina, born and raised, but the most New York person you'll ever meet.
That's rare.
I can go to him for anything. I can talk to him about anything about one of my jobs that I want to go after, what they're looking for. And he'll tell me. He doesn't sugarcoat it. He will tell me straight up, oh, they won't answer you back. He'll tell me like what they're looking for and what I can do to improve upon myself to make sure that it's so. I mean, my mother met him as well. Talk a little bit about that.
Oh, yeah, he was just a straight shooter and really kind of focused, saying you should maybe be an accounting minor or something. I mean, he didn't listen to him, but I mean, he's got enough minors and majors, but
I think math was good for me, but that's too much math.
yes. But the teachers there are great. The professors actually are great at High Point. They've been all very, influential in helping you. And Jack didn't mention that he's been on the dean's list
Every
semester since he's been there with all of these majors and minors and sports and fraternities and everything. So I'm very proud of everything he's done. And I have to tell you, I mean, I could sit here because it hasn't always been, a smooth journey. I've been in this school district for a very long time. I've been in this community a long time, even before I had children. And SEPTA wasn't what it was. And I was telling you this, it wasn't what it was the way it is now. I don't know if that makes sense, but, nobody went to the SEPTA meetings. I was a representative for SEPTA and, I would try and get people to join SEPTA and they were like, oh, my child doesn't have those services and didn't really realize that SEPTA helps everybody. But at the time, nobody realized that. And I mean, then we got some really good presidents in there a while back and people who had other children that were very mainstream and very athletic. So it kind of got more of a following. And the meetings became more successful and a lot of people joined. Teachers came to meetings, administration came to meetings. And that's what it takes because for my IEP meetings at the end, when both kids graduated, I have to tell you, I was in tears because so many people helped me and nobody mentioned the administration, but and Stefan Keffage and Dr. Steingrubner, so many people have helped along the way. And when you think that things, and I said this at the meeting, if someone or a parent thinks that their child can't accomplish something because they have, they're in special ed or have some learning disability, it's so possible. And I was hysterical crying because I said, this has been such a journey and it's been a successful. People kept saying, it's going to be great. He's going to do great. But, when you're going through it, it's difficult. And he was telling about the social aspects. When he was little, people would say, oh, I'll call you later. And Jack used to wait by the phone and the phone didn't ring. I mean, that's, I don't know if people go through that, but it was sad. But you know what? He's a survivor and look at him now, I have to say, and he's not a victim. He's a success story. And so,
I think if I didn't go through any of that,
yes,
I wouldn't have been the same person I am right now.
It gave him drive.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to your question, a lot of people.
Oh, I could talk.
A lot of people a lot of professors at High Point are very good. I think my president does a very good job at who I guess they hire. They want people to have professors that they can look to and really thrive from. And I think that you can go to them for anything, which is, I think, the best part. And even my sister could probably talk about this. I mean, and she's a freshman right now, and I'm a senior. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. And they're all there to support you. They even have, I guess your advisor, they would call it, they call them success coaches. And that's like your guidance counselor away from home. You can talk to them about anything. I went every week when I was in freshman year. That's because I was half homesick. But the other half was because I was ready to plan my next schedule. I was ready to get on everything. And this guy was like, oh my God. He goes, I've never met a kid like you. I mean, I'm not bragging, but I'm just saying, I've never met a kid like you. He goes, I've never met a kid that's so worked up about coming to me for academics and wanting to plan schedules like 4 years in advance. He was like, oh my God. But yeah.
Jack, my final question would be, what are your 3 pieces of advice to any student who's leaving Garden City? Obviously, the first one that keeps resonating is advocate for yourself and speak to everyone, regardless of what it is, right? Whether it's good times or you're having trouble or just something that's bothering you, right? You always want to vocalize it with somebody. Don't stay in the dark, so to speak, right? You want to get that message out, what's bothering you or what's a success story. But what are the other 2 pieces that you can impart knowledge on us?
I think going into college is kind of a change in somebody's life. It's the next chapter. I think get involved in as many things as you can on campus when you get there. I think biggest thing for me was I was in the COVID pandemic. And so there wasn't really a lot. It was just running. As soon as I got there, coach was like, all right, let's go, ready to run. I think try to be as open-minded as possible. And my president says one thing. He goes, we can give you the tools to be successful at our university. But he goes, if you don't do anything at our university, he goes, it's not going anywhere. You're not going to achieve anything if you don't get involved, if you don't use what we're giving you. And so a lot of people say that High Point is, it looks like a country club, whatever. It's not. I'm not trying to sell anybody on High Point here, but if anybody's interested, I'll see you after. I think the biggest thing is High Point shows that they have all these amenities on campus so that you can succeed, so that you can get involved. They have I'm a part of Student Government Association as well on campus. And they try to get as many students, as many clubs. You can start any club, any organization, any sport you want on campus, just so that there's more involvement. I think the biggest thing is my president wants our university to thrive based on the fact that we as the students can show what we want out of a university.
Thank you.
Jack, I'm actually going to take the reciprocal of that question. What advice would you give to a current ICT student in whatever grade level, elementary, middle, high, whichever you like?
I think it depends on the year. I mean, obviously, when I was in 2nd through 5th, I think it would have been a little more embarrassing to talk about. But I think if I went, I could go all 3 routes, but if it's the bottom line is it's going to be okay. That's my biggest statement that I'd want to say is that if you put your mind to something and you really want to get it done and you really want it that badly, you can achieve it. I think, I could have been a totally different kid and I could have been, I didn't have to have that drive that I have right now, but it was the fact that I didn't say I'm getting pushed down and I'm not going to get back up. That was the biggest thing. I get a lot of that from my mother's father, I actually never met, my grandfather. He was born in the Depression and I'm not going to go on and on about it. I mean, if you want to say the story, but he grew up in the Depression. He had absolutely nothing and he had to build himself up to, what he wanted to be. He grew, why don't you tell the story? I mean, because you can
Just
tell it.
quickly, but so he was born in the Depression. He lost his mother and father at the age of 14. He had 9 brothers and sisters, not 18, but not together. And basically, they were split up against neighbors. He was born in Corona, Queens. So everyone was just divvied up somewhere. Most of his brothers were older, but my father changed his birth certificate at the age of 16 and he changed it to 18 and went into the U.S. Army. And that's really what raised him. He ended up being in Japan and he actually taught, he spoke fluent Japanese and he taught them how to speak English, and came back. But so he has a lot of the drive that he had because he had to go back to high school. He had to get his GED. He had to go back to school and teach himself. But in that time, people got married at 18. So he was married and he had to go to school at night. It was a big struggle. But I think like he became very successful. He started at a company, US Trust, which is now it's owned by Bank of America, but he took everything that he learned from all over his life and just applied it. And when people said he couldn't do it, it's the same thing. Like he did it. Like he went to meetings and a lot of those people were very polished at US Trust. So he would say, oh yeah, I got to have that picture. And they'd say, oh, Dominic, it's picture, not picture. So they really taught him how to speak. They taught him everything and he took everything that people gave him. And even though he became very successful at the bank, he was there 45 years. He never took his foot off the gas. He had that drive in him and he has a lot of that in him. So it's a very good quality because and he gave back because he was fed by the church. That's who clothed him and fed him. And he never forgot where he came from. He sang in the church choir and he gave back to the church and paid it forward so far.
He was my main drive in sophomore year. That's where I got the drive to really want to improve and succeed. And that's also where I got the idea to do. And
But I want to tell you, so my dad was interviewed because he was the longest employee there. And that's where he learned a lot of his stuff because he listened to those. He had like a long cassettes of that and he listened to those. And that's how he really got to know a lot about him.
Thank you.
Jack, one of the things that jumps out at me is your confidence. You're less nervous than I am right now, which is great. But maybe there's more. You obviously have two very supportive parents. Maybe more a question for them. But I have somebody close to me that's in college that struggled to learn, and it hurt their self-confidence. Is it something you were born with? Is it something you developed along the way? Is it something that was a turning point? But I think that's a big part of some of this is your self-confidence as well. Were you born this way?
I think I get a lot of it from my parents, but another huge aspect was so I said I was a minor in theater. I did theater a lot in middle school, elementary school, high school, but probably the biggest place was college. One of my professors saw me in his theater arts class, and I wasn't going to take theater as a minor. I was just going to be, finance, whatever. Actually, no, you know what? I'll go back just because where did I get my confidence from? That's not the answer to the question. So probably the biggest thing was that theater aspect. I've been on stage before. I've been able to speak in front of audiences before. When I was younger, yeah, it was a little bit of a challenge, but as you get more accustomed to it and you answer more questions and you kind of see it a lot more and you practice with it, it's kind of second nature. As well as that, improv is another huge part of understanding how to roll with the punches while you're also talking. That's why I'm able to do what I'm doing right now is because I've been on stage. I've been, my parents are very confident in themselves. It's just been the past of it, which is really good. But I wouldn't say I was born confident. No, definitely
wouldn't
not.
say that.
I think about 10, probably like 12 years ago, I probably would have been a totally different person to you. I was very quiet in like elementary, middle school.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I don't really have any questions, but I want to just thank you for sharing your story. It's so important to hear about different pathways to success. I feel like a lot of kids are trapped. So thank you. Sorry, inspiration.
Thank you so much for having
We
me.
appreciate you coming to share your story. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. At this time, may I have a motion that the Board of Education accepts the agenda for December 19th, 2023 regular meeting as presented? All in favor? Aye. I guess we're going to go to Mrs. DiCaprio for the treasurer's report.
Hi, good evening. This is the treasurer's report for October 2023. We had a cash balance at the beginning of the month of 41,689,401. During October, we had total receipts of 13,747,769. We had disbursements in the amount of 11,613,926, leaving us with a closing balance of 43,822,944. Thank you.
Thank you. Now the superintendent's report.
Thank you. I have a few things to report on. Just a reminder of our proposed bond that is, it's on our website, all the information. There will be a newsletter that'll be going out to all of our community members. The information on the website is all current, and we also have it in Spanish as well, which we're required to have. The vote is on February 13th. And again, every week we'll give some additional updates as we move along. We have posted, again, the newsletter will go out and then the mailing will go out. Update on our search for the assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction. In January, we have we'll be doing committee interviews for 6 finalists. And then, and again, it will be with all stakeholder groups we'll have teachers, administrators, a board member, along with parents and students on the committee. And then after that, we'll have 2 finalists that will meet with stakeholder groups. So we're in the process of getting all the members for the committee. This month was also the Disabilities Awareness Month. There was a lot of activities that happened within our schools, and this celebration is started by the United Nations and is dedicated to promoting the rights and well-being of our persons with disabilities. So in every school, there were different activities that our students were engaged in, assemblies as well, and that happened across our district. I do want to take a moment to thank our special education PTA. They partnered with us in this celebration. Kindergarten registration, this time of the year in January, we start our registration process. So we'll be putting in the information in Garden City News, along with, it'll be on our website as well. The one other item that I wanted to share with the board was the calendar for 24-25. It was in your weekly packets, but if you need a copy of it, I can certainly share that with you. We will be posting it on the website for tomorrow. It'll be posted. And the calendar for next year, the school will start after Labor Day, September 2nd. It'll end on June 27th. We did have to add Lunar New Year this year, so we've added that to our calendar. In December, we have 2-week break, which is really nice that we were able to put that in. And then we'll have 1 traditional snow day as well on the calendar. So we have that, and then some agenda items. We have a new board policy. We had the first reading at the last meeting, which is prevention of workplace violence. And again, this is a new policy that we have to have in place by January 4th. So in this agenda, we're adopting the policy as well. Another item we have on the agenda is Kathy Giannotta. She'll be retiring after 24 years here in Garden City, in our Garden City schools. She's a reading teacher at our high school, and we wish her the best. And we'll be celebrating her along with or honoring our retirees, I should say, at the end of the school year. So we'll be inviting her to attend that as well. We have a supervisory aide on the agenda, and again, the supervisory aide will be for Locust School. And again, I want to remind everyone, the supervisory aide, they're retired police officers and will be part of our security personnel. And then one other item is the winter concerts. I don't know if you been able to attend some of these concerts. Amazing, amazing concerts. Lots of from our pre-kindergarten students to all the way up to our high school. We have another one coming up tomorrow. We do have a short video to share with you about the different concerts that we have had throughout our buildings. Mr. Galano, I think he'll put that up for us. Short video. I do want to take a minute to thank our coordinator of music and arts, Miss Amanda Hauser, and all of our teachers, music teachers that are involved in putting these wonderful performances and the work that they do with their students. It is unbelievable. It's hard to believe that these are kids that are still in the last couple of months that they have been able to showcase. So we're super proud. And just a reminder that schools are closed next week through January 1st. And we wish the community a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and best wishes for the new year.
Thank you, Thank you, Dr. Sinha. I just want to reiterate a couple of things. I know we talked about the supervisory aid. Those have been a great addition to the school. I think it's benefited many schools in certain situations. And so, you know, having those aides in the buildings definitely helps us from a safety and security perspective. As it relates to the search for the assistant superintendent of curriculum, I will be sitting with the community stakeholders as part of those meeting processes. Other members might join as well. Just what's the timeline, just for the public, on the plans to hire somebody, and maybe if you could, I know I've seen it before, but just for the benefit of the audience and the
Sure.
town.
So our goal is to have a recommendation for the board at the February regular meeting. So the interview process, the committee interview, and also the stakeholder groups, our hope is to get that done in January.
Thank you. One other thing I'd like to mention before I ask if any other members of the board have any other questions is, I know I see several or a lot of members of the CSEA sitting in the crowd today. I appreciate you coming out to the meeting from the board. We appreciate the work you do and the care you take for our kids. So appreciate you coming to the meeting tonight and, thank you. Does any other members of the board have any questions at this time? None. Hearing none. Are there any questions on the Board of Education agenda items? None. Are there any citizens' questions or comments at this time?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Liam Russert. I'm with the CSEA. I work and help represent the CSEA members here. And like I said in the past, I don't want to be an outsider, so I'll definitely keep coming to these meetings. And Jack was a great inspiration about advocacy and calling things out and standing up for yourself. And that's what these members are here to do today. We have only 25% of them here. So imagine when we get more as each meeting goes by. So January 8th is our next negotiation session. Our last session, the school district moved slightly, but it's baffled us because if you just, I'm reiterating stuff that I've said in the past, the economy, the CPI, just for instance, I mean, a year ago was around 8%. Just last week, or maybe the week before, it was dropped to about 3%, maybe 3.1, depending on which one that you use. So, but that's still higher than what it's been. Luckily, the Fed cut their rates, so maybe that's a sign that things are going to get a little bit better. But when the members here get offered like 1.25%, 1.5%, it doesn't stand up to even what the CPI is at. Never mind what it was a year ago. So they're still trying to catch up over the last contract. We are going to come to the table with a serious proposal on January 8th, and we hope that you consider it and take it very seriously, because just like we love to have a spirit of cooperation, we've had it with the town supervisor, town of Hempstead supervisor, Don Clavin, and Councilman Tom Muscarello. They're both residents here of Garden City. I'm sure if you have conversations with them, if you haven't already, they'll tell you how cooperative that CSEA and they are together. CSEA there is local 880. We're the educational local 865, and our local president is in the back over there, as well as our unit president. And we really engage cooperative, realistic discussions. Now, when we look at just administration salaries, if we just look at the superintendent and the assistant superintendent of business. Now, you can always look this up on the New York State Ed.gov, right? So I think it's p12.nysed.gov. And you can look up the salaries. And I don't even have to spew numbers. People can take a look at them. People know they get highly paid, six figures, almost, like mid-range to $1 million, right? But they probably deserve every penny. This is a blue ribbon school. It's second behind, only one other district, which I won't even name because I'm sure you'll be first. But these people are the backbone of that school district. They help make the school district that way. They get the kids home safe, to school safe. They help with all the paperwork that you read off of tonight, type it all up, make sure that all your agendas, policies, contracts, everything, anything you do that moves on paper or email, they take care of. They make sure that the schools still look as great as when you modify them. And it is titles that are in our contract that actually keep the school secure. And I don't know that if you know that or not about the supervisory aides. But the administrative increases from year to year, just in percentages, are like 4.16, 3.81, 3.6, 5.66. If you want to speak to me and come out with the actual figures, I don't want to take up your time since we're here a long time. But we're persistent. And as Jack said, we're going to advocate and we're going to stand up for ourselves and we're going to speak out loud. And it's just started. So we invite you to the meeting on January 8th, like I invited you last time, if you want to hear what's going on in negotiations. We'd enjoy your company, and any questions you have, we have facts to back them up, especially since our school district comparison with 10 surrounding school districts show that Garden City falls behind on the top end of their salaries, anywhere from 2 to 18%. And we asked the school district for their comparison. They wouldn't tell us what schools they compared it to make sure we're doing apples to apples. Not asking for the work, just want to know what schools they're comparing. So we're all on the same page. That would be a good thing, to be on the same page. So here we are again to plea for recognition like you do with everyone here who deserved it tonight. Everyone in sports, everyone with disabilities, whether they were learning or physical, the people who work behind the scenes and are the backbone of the school need that recognition as well. But thank you so much for your time and have a good night. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Mr. Russert.
Good evening. My name is Helen Filmus. I am the CSE Unit President with Garden City Schools and would like to speak on behalf of the members. Every day, you entrust our members with the care and safety of the children and the district staff. You need their dedication, energy, and enthusiasm to complete the tasks assigned to them, and yes, more often than not, to go above and beyond their job descriptions to ensure that these tasks will get done whether or not we are fully staffed or we are shorthanded. Just as you do, they come to work every day with the responsibilities and stresses of everyday life. Many of our members have second jobs to supplement their income to support their families. I have personal knowledge of members that have come in for their morning shift, gone to their radiation treatments, and then returned for their afternoon shifts. I have firsthand knowledge of members that have personal issues, such as caring for aging parents, sick parents, caring for partners with serious health issues, caring for children with life-threatening illnesses. Yet, they come to work every day with a smile and a determination to get the work done. Many of our members have been home ill themselves, and they still answer work emails and phone calls to make sure that the deadlines are met for the district. During the year, the members receive memos, emails, and verbal accolades for their accomplishments. While administrators espouse the value of those in their employ, the current status of negotiations sends the message that they are not important, but they are disposable and replaceable. The success of the students and staff of the Garden City School District is dependent upon an organization that appreciates the contribution of all its stakeholders. While we acknowledge that we have all chosen our career paths, we ask that you recognize the value of your workforce and treat them respectfully by offering them a fair and reasonable contract. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions or comments?
Thank you very much. John Farrar, Garden City resident. So my son is now receiving services, and there's a chance he'll be in an integrated class next year. I was just curious if a decision's been made of what school or schools, elementary, those classes will be held in next year.
Yeah. Please.
At this time, we're just in the process of planning, but we'll definitely take your name and your number down and we'll let you know
Okay.
once we've made that decision.
Okay, great. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
And Ms. Papalardo can get your name and address or your
Okay.
phone number.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other questions in the room? Comments? Okay, at this time, to make efficient use of the meeting time, the Board of Education authorizes the use of a consent agenda as part of the meeting agenda. Consent agenda allows for one motion to approve multiple items, and such items are identified on the agenda. President of the board will ask for motion to approve the consent agenda and will ask if any board members wishes to have any items specifically removed or clarified. Following the discussion, the board will then vote on the consent agenda motion. At this time, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes business of the board's items I1 through I5, personnel matters J1 through J5, business office matters K1 through K11, special education matter items L1 through L3, and curriculum and instruction item M1. All in favor? Aye. Are there any noes and unnoted? Is there any new business from the board? No new business from the board. Is there any new business from the administration? None at this time. Future Board of Education meetings will be Tuesday, January 9th, 2024. It's a Board of Education work session here at the high school at 7 p.m. This will be an early start. Normally we start at 8:15, it'll be 7. And then January 23rd, 2024, Board of Education regular session will start at 8:15 p.m. here at the Garden City High School. At this time, may I have a motion that there is no further business to come before the board and the meeting be adjourned? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.